Hi everyone, Pam Gregory, astrologer. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the second half of January, and the big event, of course, is the total lunar eclipse, which is happening in Leo on the 20th or 21st, depending on where in the world you live. Now, we have the strong continuing theme of very sudden eruptive revolutionary energy of Uranus, which I'm going to be talking about more, but also the equally strong repressive, controlling, top-down energy from governments or institutions. I'll talk more about those details as we go through. So the total lunar eclipse happens on the 20th of January. It happens at 9:15 Pacific and then at 5:15 a.m. the next day, 21st UK time. It's happening at 0 degrees 51 minutes of Leo. So this is the last in the series of Leo Aquarius eclipses, which began in February 2017. So it really is, it's a very interesting time of endings and beginnings, which I've mentioned in the last one or two videos, that we have a series of full moons happening at 0 degrees of their signs. This is the third in that series. We have another two to go, and then we have one in April at 29 degrees of its sign. So very much an indicator of endings and beginnings. The transiting nodal axis has changed signs from Leo Aquarius now into Cancer and Capricorn. We also have two slow-moving planets, Chiron and Uranus, which are about to change signs as well. So when you get those slow-moving planets shifting signs, with Chiron it'll be Pisces moving into Aries, and with Uranus it will be Aries moving into Taurus, not until March in fact, but nevertheless you get the impression of a shift, a big energetic shift, endings and beginnings, and that's what we're in the middle of right now. And really, to emphasize that theme, although this is a total lunar eclipse, so a super big full moon, which is a cycle of closure or completion, it's the peak of the moon cycle, it's a north node eclipse, and I'll explain that in a moment, whereas the first half of the month we had our solar eclipse in Capricorn, our big new beginning, but it was a south node eclipse, so something had to be released or let go, because the south node is connected to our collective past. Something had to be let go before we could fully capitalize on that new beginning. Equally, we have this topsy-turvy energy in this total lunar eclipse, because it's the peak or the closure, the completion of the cycle, but it's also a new beginning because the moon is closest to the north node rather than the south node, and the north node is our collective future destiny. So this is another marker of a shift from one episode into another, and I think we're seeing that very widely in rapid shifts in geopolitical situations across the world. Brexit's another key example, how the old guard are moving on and we're creating new relationships and a new status quo, very different energy as we move into 2019. This is also a supermoon. It's the first of 3 supermoons in 2019, and what that means is the moon is much closer to the Earth in its orbit. The moon doesn't have a circular orbit, it has an elliptical orbit, so sometimes it's very close, as it will be in this total lunar eclipse, sometimes it's much further away. So the moon will look, hopefully you will have clear skies, enormous, and it will look much closer as well. But the totality of this total lunar eclipse will last about an hour, and it will be visible from North and South America, from Western Europe, UK, Africa. So hopefully this is mostly happening in hours of darkness, so you'll be able to see this total lunar eclipse very clearly. It may even appear blood red. It's actually known as a blood moon because it's total. The moon takes on this kind of red hue, which is a reflection of the dust in the atmosphere. So it's not only a supermoon, it's not only a total lunar eclipse, it's also potentially a blood moon. So it's very, very strong indeed. Now, although eclipses generally only happen when they're close to the transiting nodal axis, in this case, the Sun and Moon are still very close to that transiting nodal axis, but they're just out of sign. So the eclipse is still in Leo, although the nodal axis has shifted into Cancer and Capricorn. And this is, as I say, is the last in the series of Leo. So this is a time to really look back to February 2017. How have you been creative since that beginning, February 2017? What has been your individual self-expression, Leo, that you have contributed, a unique contribution to the world, to the whole, Aquarius? And just shine in that. Really see this as a celebration. It is the culmination, it is the peak. See it as a celebration of your creativity and your unique individual spark at this time. Because after this eclipse, we're going to fully move into Cancer and Capricorn eclipses for the next 17 months or so. Now, it's also very strong in the area of leadership, and I'd like you to just observe leadership in certain countries where this total lunar eclipse is really having strong aspects. France, I would ask you to watch, the UK for sure, and possibly the US as well. Issues of leadership coming up. Because we also have, as I said at the beginning, this very strong clash of revolution versus repressive. Now, we have very strong cardinal energy in general, just as we had in the first half of the month. We have the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, the nodal axis, Saturn, Pluto, Mars, Eris, Uranus, the asteroid goddess of discord, all in cardinal signs. Now, cardinality, cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and they're to do with initiating, entrepreneurial energy, getting the show on the road. So because all planets are going direct at this time as well, from the 6th of January, they were all going direct for this month. That's quite unusual. So it's a great time to push forward projects, this very strong, dynamic and productive cardinal energy. But we do have a very strong square operating because we have the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, the nodal axis, and more widely Pluto in square to Uranus and Eris in Aries. So this is again our clash of Eris and Uranus in Aries, dynamic, eruptive, sudden, rioting, protesting. It could happen in the social area, a lot of social unrest. It could happen in the political area, sudden shock surprises. It could happen in the environmental area with more earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis, that kind of earth shock potentially. But because this is being squared, these planets are being squared by the planets in Capricorn, the Sun, Mercury, Pluto, then this is the more top-down, controlling, repressing the population, stick by rules and regulations, keep your head down, obey the law type of energy. Now, at this time, to reinforce this whole theme, because Uranus has been retrograde up until the 6th of January, it is starting to form that square we were all so familiar with to Pluto. It's quite a wide square here, it's a 7-degree orb, but this square I talked about for years, and if you've been following my work, you know that I was talking about it from about 2011 to 2017 when this square was operational. It is operational again. It's wide, but it's still operational now in the second half of January and up till early March. And this is its kind of last gasp, if you like. But if you study Uranus-Pluto aspects, and I've got a whole chapter on them in my first book, You Don't Really Believe in Astrology, Do You? Going back to the 1400s. They are very, very connected to social transformation. So if we look at when Uranus and Pluto were conjunct, and their last big aspect in the 1960s, some of us may remember that this was a time of Black Power movement, women's lib, gay rights, civil rights of many, many kinds. There was a lot of social unrest right across the world, in fact, particularly the Western world, of people demanding greater equality, greater voice in society. Well, this is coming back again. So, and it will be with us until early March, and then Uranus moves on more quickly and that square breaks. So again, it's repeating this same theme that was running in the first half. And really to reinforce that theme in another way, we have an exact square at this total lunar eclipse between Mars at 13 of Aries and Saturn at 13 of Capricorn. So Mars in Aries is the warrior, the pioneer. It's brave, it's courageous, it's the initiator, it's driving forwards, it sets its goal and finds a very direct route to achieve it. It wants to go quickly, but it's running into this wall of Saturn in Capricorn. No, you can't do it. Authorities say so. Restrictions, paperwork, bureaucracy, people disagreeing with you, and it can create a kind of frustration because Mars in Aries wants to move quickly, as I say, and it's quite impulsive. However, if you can integrate and blend these energies, it gives you a really productive, disciplined energy. It's very interesting. I see Mars-Saturn combinations, aspects in the charts of people who go into the military, who have to use a very disciplined energy in everything that they're doing. So this is the real upside, the real productivity, if you like, of that square between Mars and Saturn. In addition, we have a beautiful aspect at this total lunar eclipse, which is a conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. Venus is at 14 of Sagittarius, Jupiter's at 15, and this is a really lucky, very beneficial conjunction. It's to do with good luck, it's to do with abundance, it's to do with success, it's to do with the fruits of your labour. So see where 14, 15 of Sagittarius falls in your chart, and indeed if you have any planets around about 14 to 15 of the mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius or Pisces, you could feel this quite strongly, but particularly see where that 14, 15 degrees of Sagittarius falls in your chart, because that's where the success or the good luck or the abundance is likely to happen. This conjunction is given even greater impetus because it is right on the great attractor. And some of you may have heard me speak about this before. The great attractor is this massive magnetic vortex of energy, a huge vortex of cosmic energy, radiation, information spinning out in space, around which many, many galaxies spin, including our own. So this adds greater power to this conjunction, but it adds bigger vision. It adds a spiritual dimension to it as well. And indeed, on the 22nd of the month, we have a grand trine in fire that involves this Venus-Jupiter, very, very positive conjunction on the great attractor, trine to Mars in Aries, and also trine to the moon in Leo. So these great fire trines are wonderfully creative and inspiring and future-oriented. They can take us beyond our day-to-day lives to something bigger. And this links to what is going to be a long-term aspect in 2019, which is the square between Jupiter and Neptune. I mentioned this last time. Jupiter, mid-degrees of Sagittarius, square to Neptune, mid-degrees of Pisces. And they're both in their own signs, so they're strong. But this can also take us beyond 3D reality, beyond the mundane. It's a kind of need to touch the ethereal, to touch the divine, to connect with source, to expand our compassion, Jupiter expansion, Neptune compassion, to expand our appreciation of all life being sacred and all life being sentient, connecting to source, as I say. So this can bring some really wonderful creativity into your life, but also an understanding that when you get to those higher places in your meditation or your frequency, when you go beyond 3D reality, and I very much think of Neptune as fifth dimensional planet where we just lose a sense of time and space, that is the power zone to create from. That is when we can use our energy most fully and our power most fully to create most effectively. So we can really use this year, as I say, that Jupiter-Neptune aspect runs up until September, to really step into that paradigm of knowing, really knowing how to create our own reality by shifting our frequency. In addition to that, remember that Uranus is still very strong at this time. Uranus is square to the nodal axis. It is the planet connected to awakening. It's also the planet connected to magnetism. And as many of you may know, the magnetic shield around the Earth is dropping really quite significantly, which is allowing much more galactic and cosmic energy into our Earth plane. And that very much is contributing to the shift in consciousness that many people are feeling, this sense of awakening to a different level of reality that many people are feeling. So although we have strong Capricorn energy at this time, and will continue to do so all through the next 2 years at least, and that is very dense, quite heavy energy at times, we have some other beautiful aspects which almost act as a counterpoint to that, where we can really dwell, we can really focus on to make the most of creating the best being that we can possibly be and the best life for ourselves and others that we can possibly create. So it's a very powerful time in that sense as well. So a super powerful total lunar eclipse, supermoon, blood moon, happening on the 20th or the 21st. See where it's shining a light in your chart, because that could also reveal secrets that were unknown for you until this time, and that can help you modify your direction going forwards. But really enjoy this time. See if you can observe the total lunar eclipse. They're pretty rare, and thank you so much for listening. If you'd like more information about my books, my videos, my ever so long monthly newsletter, just check out my website, pamgregory.com. If you don't know where these aspects fall in your chart, please check out this link above. You can then get a 2-part video series that will explain everything you need to know for this update and any updates I ever do to answer that "what does it mean for me" question that I get a lot of. So if you've got one of those "what does it mean for me" question, the tutorials will help you answer that and give you much more meaning in your life too. So hope you enjoyed listening, everyone, and really enjoy the total lunar eclipse, the last one in Leo, on the 20th, 21st of the month. Bye for now.